what was your relationship like with Fredo Santana?
That was big bro. That was big bro, man. I've known Fredo basically all my life.
Do you remember how you guys met?
No, because back then it wasn't a bunch, like, I ain't get a chance to meet Fredo formally, because he was older than me. So I always used to see him around and shit, but Fredo like 34, 5 and shit. So back then that shit mean a lot. When I'm 9 and 8 and you 14 and shit like that, we just brushing across each other. Like everybody know everybody. Like when I'm young and I'm 11 years old, I'm around our beer, which is D-Rose. And like Fredo little brother is Schmook. Schmook is my age. Me and Schmook was hanging together when we was kids. This was D-Rose's best friends when we was kids, folks. So like when I'm with Schmook, we'll see, or when we all together, we seeing Fredo and shit, but I'm a shorty, you know what I'm saying? Now, when I got older though, probably about 12 years old, when I really got a chance to like really formally like be with Fredo and we be each other friends and shit, cause at this point I'm gang banging and I'm in the streets and we all from the same hood, you know what I'm saying? So now we really jamming and shit like that. So I always knew Fredo, just never really got a chance to formally like hang with him and shit when I was too young to be with him. When I got old enough to be my who I was, and when I was coming into my own, then I got a chance to really like hang and be around Fredo in the hood and like call his phone and all that shit. Cause now we were part of the same conglomerate now, and now like I'm like little bro who he's showing the ropes. Fredo showed me a lot of shit, like told me a lot of shit. Like he was very wise for beyond his years. Like even when he was looking a lot more cutthroat and shit, he was a lot. He was.
Is there something you could share that he taught you?
Fredo just felt like Fredo was one of them, man. Like Fredo was one of them first who I think invented like staying in your lane, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when I was coming up in the streets, bro, everybody wanted to try to put on this persona. They shoot their gun, they're a savage, they're a killer, they're this, they're that. They wanted to be the biggest slime there was back then. This is when this word savages was first making his name through our hoods. And Fredo was one of them, bro. He never like, don't get me wrong, he rapping and shit. This is a part of his life, so this is a part of his story. So he rap about it in his music. But on some street shit, bro, Fredo will let you know, like, bro, I'm getting money, man. I ain't finna be, I'm selling this crack, I'm selling this dope, I'm selling these weed. I ain't all that. Like, I'm staying in my lane, bro. It's important to stay in your lane, man. Like, I'm trying to get some money out here. My mama and them ain't taking care of me. And his big brother was like that too, Draysky, on Steve. Like, real hustlers, on them grade. Like, these was who was in the streets heavy and they was doing what they was doing, bro. But he believed wholeheartedly in staying in his lane. Wholeheartedly, bro. Like, wholeheartedly staying in his lane. That was his thing. So, like, that's one of the things that I remember him first showing me. Like, bro, don't, like, if this shit in you, folk, it's in you. But, like, don't chase this shit, folk. Like, try to get some paper out this shit. Like, we already got going to jail, dying, getting shot. Like, you don't want to die broke. You don't want to die ain't did nothing with your life. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to die too early. You ain't never know what it feel like to have $500 of your own money. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of died folk before they ever drove a car. Before they ever a girl. Like, this is how young we was dying, bro. Like, niggas was virgins getting killed, never felt before. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it'll happen, bro. When you getting whacked and y'all still 6th and 7th grade and shit, that's how it'll get wild on for them. You know what I'm saying? So he was just real big on staying in his lane, and I respected that, man. Like, he that's one of the reasons why you see the Opps, bro, they don't diss Fredo. They don't diss Fredo at all. Cause he didn't do that. He stayed in his lane. Even when he was making music, he ain't say shit about them niggas. He probably dropped one song where he actually mentioned the Op, bro. Like, and that was early on in his career. He been gave that up, let that shit fly and die. And that's why when you hear a lot of dissing and saying a lot of Opps names and they Opps names, Fredo name rarely, if ever, comes up, bro. Because I seen Duck say that before. Like, He had a chance to diss Fredo when he was going on a rant talking about all our dead homies. He literally stopped saying, I ain't gonna talk about Fredo because he ain't used to be doing that goof ass shit. Like, he said this, bro, on a live before. You know what I'm saying? So, Fredo was big on that, bro. He stayed in his lane. And that shit, like, even paying dividends out this death.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.